Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition, a summer edition of Indoor Voices. I'm Fiona Queen, Director of Performance Activities at the Music Institute of Chicago, and my guests today are esteemed composer Robert Chumbley and Claire Aebersold and Ralph Neiweem of the Chicago piano duo, ensemble in residence at the Music Institute of Chicago. Thank you all for being here today.
Thanks, Fiona.
Pleasure.
We're delighted.
I want to just start by congratulating you, Ralph and Claire. It's 40 years, an anniversary that you've been playing together as a duo, and the concert, the opening gala concert of the Chicago Duo Piano Festival taking place tomorrow, Friday at 7:30. Tell us a little bit about the program and obviously your 40th anniversary, the special mark for you both.
Well, we're delighted. We're starting with the Brahms Haydn variations. And we play Fête Nuage by Debussy, arranged by Ravel. Then Robert's wonderful piece, and then Beethoven Liszt transcription of the final movement of the Ninth Symphony, the Ode to Joy.
And the Ode to Joy represents a lot of things. First of all, it pairs so beautifully with Robert's piece, and we could talk about that connection later. But it's also, we're all feeling very joyful at the fact that we're coming back to playing in front of a live audience after what we've all been through. This is very exciting, and hopefully we'll just continue to improve and be able to do more and more of this. It was interesting, we played a streamed concert a couple months ago, and it was so strange to walk out with our normal concert clothes and walk into a dead hall and no applause or sound. So we're just so looking forward to connecting again with a live audience.
Well, and we all can't wait to applaud you. I mean, I just think that's been one of the most rewarding things, both for audiences and performers alike, is that collaboration between the performer and the audience. There's definitely an energy there. But I will also tell people that this will be live streamed, so you can't attend in person. Go to the Music Institute's website, musicinst.org, and there's more information there on where and how to see this. So Robert, on to you. Again, welcome. We're so thrilled to have you. And this piece, tell us a little bit about the commission, its origin with the Dranoff Foundation and with the Chicago Duo Piano Festival.
Well, that came together rather nicely a while back. I was living in Miami at the time, which is where the Dranoff Foundation is headquartered. And so when I started talking to them about the possibility of a commission, I thought about Ralph and Claire and the Music Institute, and thought it would be a great idea to have these two storied organizations for two piano writing and playing to commission it together. So I put Ralph and Claire in touch with the foundation in Miami, and they worked it out. And I was thrilled because, you know, Ralph and I go way back. So there's a nice connection there as well.
How did you meet?
We met as students at the North Carolina School of the Arts. I was in the high school division, and Robert, believe it or not, I think you were finishing up 8th grade at the time. Was that 8th grade? Yeah.
Yeah. And so when you say way back, you know whereof you speak.
Yeah.
That was an exciting environment and atmosphere back then. A very unique institution that had a grade school, high school, college, conservatory, high-level conservatory, patterned after Curtis, basically. It just attracted so many exciting people from all over the country, and there was such an amazing energy there. I think we all fed off of. And I remark frequently that I've kept up my ties with my friends from North Carolina School of the Arts, even more than my friends that I made later on at Juilliard and Northwestern.
That's the same is true for me as well. And I've actually moved back to Winston-Salem, where the school is located. And apparently a lot of students from our time, Ralph, have also moved back here. A lot of the dancers, the ballerinas, a lot of drama people, and some musicians as well. So we're all kind of recreating our youth here now.
And Robert, you have a very, I think, special relationship, a connection in your career to opera and to ballet. How has that found its way into your creative process?
Interesting in that I think I compose somewhat differently for the lyric theater than I do for purely instrumental compositions, mainly because the nature of the human body in the ballet and the human voice in opera requires, I think, a different approach. When I write purely for instrumentalists, I'm a little freer with my tonal language, although I think it's still dramatic in a way, and we can get into that too with the piece, because it is a descriptive work of the kinds of sounds that the deaf hear. And I've learned in this process that 90% of people who are diagnosed as deaf do hear some things. They hear high pitches, they hear scratches, they hear loud banging sounds. So I when I knew this piece was going to be coupled with the Beethoven Liszt transcription of the Ninth, I logically, I hope, went to Beethoven as the ultimate deaf musician, and tried to and I did some research into the kinds of things he heard and couldn't hear, and began to create musical descriptions of those things. And
the piece we're talking about is Cries and Whispers.
Yes.
And you did quite a deep dive into this, which I think is remarkable. How broad was your research to come up with?
Pretty deep, even as far as speaking with audiologists and physicians that specialize in hearing issues, as well as other experts in the field of teaching music to the deaf, which is quite a large field, believe it or not. And I think that, the idea of the most wonderful art form for the ear is not always totally lost on those who are diagnosed as deaf. And I found that to be fascinating.
Very much so, yes.
My interest in this has extended into my work in opera. I'm working currently on a commission to create an operatic version of The Heart is a Lonely Hunter by Carson McCullers, in which two of the main characters are deaf and mute. So, I mean, this is an issue that's always interested me. But also, the year 1802 was kind of important in Beethoven's life for a number of reasons. It was kind of the first year he got really concerned about his loss of hearing, and that's the year he wrote the Heiligenstadt Testament to his brother, of course, that describes his anguish. So I went to look at what pieces of his were composed in 1802, and I settled on the Third Piano Concerto, which was premiered in January of 1803. And buried in this composition is a very veiled quote from the Third Piano Concerto.
Ralph and Claire, what is it like to work with a composer that has knowledge of the piano and duo piano performance?
Oh, it's been wonderful. I mean, it couldn't have been better for Robert. I mean, I think, and the piece really captures Beethoven's his agony of losing his hearing and the final resignation and acceptance that he would be able to go on and compose within his head. And there's lots of freedom and improvisation in this Cries and Whispers. It's been wonderful. You could improvise the amount of time you wait, and rhythmic structure is very free. And
yeah, there's despite the fact that it's carefully notated,
right.
It's not aleatoric, there is great room for being a performer in the piece, in the
right.
sense, not in the traditional ways, but just in sort of like, well, yes, the traditional ways, but normally we're talking about a slight pause in a phrase when we're performing a piece. This is like, 5 seconds, 7-second pauses that You can feel the sound, you can feel the atmosphere, you can feel the resonance of the chords which are being held by the middle pedal.
Yeah, lots of special effects with the pedals, fluttering effects.
I was just going to ask what kind of pianistic effects.
It's a lot of use of the middle pedal to hold sonorities and gather overtones, which gives this sort of aura of, you can hear the sort of a buzz inside your ear that Beethoven must have been experiencing.
For people that may not know what the middle pedal on the piano does, can you be a little bit more descriptive on how that's employed?
Sure.
Yeah.
It'll hold. Flip down here. I'll show you. So what the middle pedal does is if you can get my hand, it's okay. So I just say take an A major chord, right? If I put the right pedal down, the normal, right, it holds those notes plus any others that you play at the same time. Whereas the middle pedal, you hold those 3 notes down. It only holds those notes down. All other notes around it can be played staccato. Now in Robert's piece, you put down a chord silently, right? And then you put the pedal down, and then you can play all sorts of whatever you play. This is not in the piece. And this one come across on Zoom, but I'm hearing the overtones from those pieces being held in the chord that I put down. So that's how he does that.
Wonderful. So in terms of the year of performance ahead, will you have other opportunities to perform this piece again? Will you record it? What are your plans?
Our plan is to at least have a chance to record it. And the pandemic has not been kind to any of us in terms of future performances. The whole business is just rebooting now. So we're definitely looking forward to playing it at every opportunity that we can. And we will do that, continue to do that. One pleasure the pandemic has given us is, since it put off the Chicago end of this world premiere, it's given us more time to enjoy the piece, live with it, perform it, and, you know, become more familiar with it than we normally have in an opportunity. When you're basically, when you do a premiere, you're like a short order chef. You know, the composer's sending you pages and you're madly learning it, as you know, Fiona.
Yes, yes. How does this compare to other new works that have either been commissioned or for you, or that you've worked on?
Completely unique.
It really is. It's you know, it's hard to say because of the subject matter and because of what he's trying to put across. It has a very it's like no other piece we've premiered, in the sense that well, perhaps. Robert, you know, I feel a little intimidated talking like this in front of the composer, but
not at all.
It seems to us that what happens in this piece, and it's about 15 minutes long, so there's lots of time for everything to evolve. There are these sections of rhythm and sections of harmonies and sections of melodies and motives that keep coming in and out and are developed in their own way as the piece progresses, but come in different guises, in different registers, in different time frames, and all interspersed by these very frustrating and dramatic moments where you clearly are hearing the effects of Beethoven's loss of hearing. And by the time you come to the end, it's not like sonata form, you know, exposition, development, recapitulation, resolution, but there is a different kind of resolution at the end, which is like, you feel all of these motives that you've heard coming together, and finally Beethoven feeling quietly at peace with himself. But it takes, you know, it takes the whole piece, and there's still even a wonderfully dramatic outburst right towards the end of the piece.
Right.
And Robert, you talked about the Beethoven and Third Piano Concerto, but there's also a very close tie to the Ninth Symphony, to the Ode to Joy, that's also on this performance. Is this thread going to continue, do you think, in your compositions, that you'll explore more of this?
Yes, and actually Ralph was very close to another interesting point about the piece, in that when I realized it was going to be paired, at least initially, with the Ninth Symphony, the Liszt transcription of it, the whole kind of musical structure of this I take from Liszt in what we call melodic transformation, where rather than developing a piece of music in sections like sonata allegro form, there is a transformation of material over time. And Ralph touched on it, as material comes and goes and appears in different guises. That was all Liszt. So there's that combination of Beethoven's inspiration and Liszt's constructionism that I continue to use, especially in my operatic writing, because opera takes 2.5 hours, and you've got to do something that brings people's ears back to ground zero.
And Ralph, for the students, the young students, and well, of all ages really, that are part of the Chicago Duo Piano Festival, this is a very special experience, I think, for them to be able to see you actually, performing a world premiere of a piece and working with a composer like this. It's not every day that they get to experience that firsthand with the artists that are actually executing the work. So tell us a little bit more about the festival coming on.
We want to thank everybody, all the staff and our wonderful faculty. And over the years, our 4-part mission was to commission pieces, have guest teams, teaching of duo piano, and have our competitions. So I think many people have come together from around the world really to help this be possible. This festival.
Right. And friendships.
The friendships that have been formed have been wonderful.
Among students that continue.
Right.
And people who didn't know each other before the festival become friends, and they continue to play together, and then
lots of bonds, very deep bonds have developed.
I think that may be the thing that makes us the happiest about the festival. We once wrote an article for Clavier magazine, in which we called the piano duo music's amiable art, and I still think that's very true.
It is. Yeah.
You can become good friends with your partners, and if you're not at least amiable with your partners, you probably won't be wanting to play with them because you're at very close quarters.
Yeah.
So,
all pianists are amiable. I have no idea what you're talking about.
But no, there is this serious bonding over the instrument and instrumental concerns. I think the students learn, well, first of all, for solo students, it's so important. It's a direct way for them to get ensemble experience. And that improves your ear, it improves your skills, it improves your solo playing. And then there's also the fact that pianists can talk about their instrument and learn a lot about the instrument and the balance of sound and how to pedal better. All these pianistic issues become very clear and very obvious and very difficult to solve sometimes in piano.
It helps with all chamber music.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, we're so very lucky and very honored to have you at the Music Institute and this wonderful wealth of information that you are passing on to other people. And Robert, we look forward very much to hearing the world premiere of your piece tomorrow. And I understand it's going to be also broadcast at a later date on WFMT. So
that's what I'm told.
Great.
Several opportunities, and I hope everybody watching out there will catch all of them. It certainly is more than just beneficial to listen to a new work more than once. But we are certainly looking forward to hearing it live tomorrow. And I thank you both. Thank you also, Robert, for being here today. My pleasure.
My pleasure. And I want to thank Ralph and Claire for their bringing this piece to life, both on paper and in concert. Thank you both.
Thank you, Robert.
It's just been an incredibly wonderful experience to learn it and play it. And we're very lucky that we've been able to spend as much time with it as we have.
All right, we will see you tomorrow.
Thank you, Fiona. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Fiona.
All right, thank you.